Hi guys. Emotional regulation is defined as the ability to healthily manage and process your emotions. So that means being able to connect with your emotions, understanding your emotions, including your triggers, including your reactions, including your behaviors, and including your responses. But also events that may have occurred that has kicked a certain emotion, whether it's anger, sadness, or feeling depressed, and being able to connect with them and understand them and be able to process them healthily so you can become more happier. Now, why have I raised this? I have raised this because a lot of people who, and maybe yourself who's listening to this, who still feel like they haven't been able to connect with their emotions, or they feel like their emotions are controlling them. That means emotional deregulation or unregulation. And this is likely to stem from not being heard as a child. So that means whether you have parents or peers that have looked after you in childhood, where you felt that you weren't listened to and your emotions weren't heard or observed. Now, the key topic here is about forgiveness and why forgiveness is really, really important to help you move forward on your journey to become more emotionally regulated. Now, when we repent, when we feel like we're still holding a lot of grief, it is likely to be because we have a lot of unresolved trauma within us. And one of them is also, why weren't we heard as children? And when a particular experience has triggered certain emotions, you're not sure what to do with them, or your emotions are controlling you in that particular moment, which can be quite dangerous because it feels like you are unable to control your emotions, and therefore the responses and the actions and behaviors that occur from that then mean that you are not in control of what you may say or how you may act. And that can lead to a lot of remorse, and that could also lead to a lot of regret. In order for you to start to feel emotionally regulated, or to start moving yourself onto a journey to understand and connect with your emotions, the first thing I want you to do is to be able to seek forgiveness and offer forgiveness. Why? Because as adults, you are there again. You may be a person here who is still carrying that question as to why I weren't listened to as a human being. And when you forgive the person who looked after you as a child, you are more than likely to accept them as who they are. Now, one thing I want to bring out into the conscience here is that observe the parent and the peer who looked after you as a child. Were they emotionally regulated when you were a child? Do we know that? Because the important thing to emphasize here is that when we're children, we see parents as role models. We see parents as they have the answer to everything. They will look after us for us to become healthier adults. But that is unlikely in a lot of cases. And the reason for that is likely to be because your parents or your peers that looked after you may not have been emotionally regulated themselves. So the pain that you are carrying today, right now, is likely to be familiar pain that they are carrying from their own childhood. It is important to bring this out because it will make you start to think of your parents or of your peers that looked after you as human beings with feelings and emotions just like us as adults today. Understanding and being able to observe how your parents manage their emotions, but also how they're managing them today, is really a great step to help you on your path towards offering forgiveness for how you may be today, how you may be meaning, are you able to regulate your emotions today? or do you still struggle to connect with your emotions today? Now, connecting with your emotions is very, very important, because the environment that you are in, you always want to make sure that even if you have children or brothers and sisters, that you are expressing healthy emotions. That means when you are not feeling good or depressed, you don't want to portray those emotions onto another human being that's in your environment, because that means that you are not really in control of your emotions, but at the same time, you are not connecting with your emotions and realizing that what you are feeling is a product of yourself, meaning you are feeling a certain way right now, but you wouldn't want to portray that on to another human being within your environment. And it's really important to break the cycle of what may have occurred within your childhood and what may have occurred as when your parents and peers were also young, but looking after you as children. And it's really important that in order for you to move forward with your healing journey, that you forgive what may have occurred in the past. When doing that, you are letting go of the grief, you are letting go of all the repent that you are holding, and you are able to accept what may have been, and you're accepting the here and now. When you do that, you are then moving forward to be able to start addressing your own emotions and be able to regulate your emotions yourself. But you are not able to do that when you are still carrying a lot of hurt from childhood. Now, self-awareness is very, very important when it comes to connecting with your emotions. When you are self-aware, you are able to observe how you're feeling in a particular moment. You are able to observe your triggers. You are able to observe your behaviors and your actions based on how you are feeling. And when you regulate your emotions, you are in control of your emotions. And that also means if you have a child that you're looking after, you may be a parent, you are then able to be aware of what a negative emotion is and what a positive emotion is. And of course, the negative emotion isn't something that you want to portray to your children. But also when you are connected with your emotions, you understand how important it is for your child to be emotionally regulated. And it's important that you're aware that their emotions also need to be heard. They also need to be listened to at a young age. And when you break that cycle, it leads you on more of a path towards emotional well-being and regulation. And so the takeaway is, if you're able to forgive what may have occurred, you are letting go of that grief, you're letting go of that hurt, and then you are beginning to lead yourself onto a higher journey of understanding yourself, connecting with yourself, and becoming more emotionally regulated, not just for yourself, but for those around you as well.